Irish yogurt's Clonakilty. Try a spoonful of delicious.
Edward Hayden.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Great, thank you. Looking forward to this.
Yeah, well, this is a gorgeous recipe and it's really nice. And again, it's just bringing us into that kind of spring time with just lighter options and everything like that. So I've got gorgeous minced lamb here. And I'm just going to flavour it, just add bits and pieces to it. So first and foremost, I always will put in a little bit of salt and pepper. So pop that in. Then I'm going to put in some spices. Now, again, I've raided my spice rack, so when people are looking at the recipe, you know, be interchangeable with it. You know, if you don't have X, use Y.
Yeah.
What I've got here is I've got a teaspoon of cumin, I've got a teaspoon of ground coriander, I've got a teaspoon of garam masala, but again, think of using Chinese spice, think of using the piri-piri seasoning or all these things that you might have. And of course, I've got the few chilli flakes as well.
Alan's not here.
He's not here putting the whole thing.
We couldn't, but...
Tell me this, why have you gone lamb mince now, not, beef?
Again, of course, you can use beef if you want. I always think lamb is gorgeous with the couscous. It's kind of reminiscent of that North African, Middle Eastern.
Yum.
But also, it's lovely at this time of year, the nice spring lamb and all of that
What are you
sort of
going to
thing.
have with it? Is it like
I've got lovely couscous and I've got some yoghurt dressing, which I'm going to serve with it as well.
Very
So
nice.
I've got some breadcrumbs, which I'm going to pop in. Now, that's great to soak up any of the fat that's in the meat, and it'll retain all of that fat. And the retention of fat just gives you the retention of flavour.
Is it your binding agent?
It's a binding agent, absolutely. Get you, Muireann.
do this more often.
There you have it.
But tell me, is it the fat content in lamb is quite high, though, is it?
It is. And again, of course, I always think with meatballs or burgers or even a lasagna or a moussaka or something, the fat content is required to give you that bit of flavour, because if not, it can dry it out.
Lovely.
In there, I've just put in some coriander. I've torn that in. Rather than chop it, I just tear it in at the last minute. I've got an egg gone in. I've got a little bit of diced red onion. And then I've teamed up with Irish yogurt Clonakilty, and I'm going to put in a little bit of the natural yogurt in the mixture. Now, any sort of moisture that you put into burgers or meatballs, you've seen me doing it before, it just adds that bit of moisture. And again, as I said, it prevents them from drying out.
Yeah.
So pop on the gloves, and then I'm just
would you
going to...
do that instead of the egg, or you need the egg with it?
The egg as well. The egg, of course, as Muireann said, the breadcrumbs and the egg are the binding agent, and then the yogurt of this style gives you that nice bit of flavour and also the nice bit of moisture.
And it is that North African sort of taste.
Again, of course, it is. And I'm going to serve it on top of it as well with a little bit of lime and Tabasco. So that works really nicely. So give that a really good mix up. I've just popped on the gloves. It's a kind of a hands-on job. So popped on the gloves and get all of that mixed around just like so.
Lovely.
And then I'm going to mould these into little meatballs. So just give them a little shape with your hand and pop those onto a baking tray.
How big are you going now?
Listen, I'm talking like a dessert spoonful of mixture, you know, but you can go as large or as small as you like. And again, of course, don't forget that you might decide to do it maybe as a little burger.
What about you, Muireann? Do you prefer the big balls now or the smaller balls?
Tell the nation.
Each to their own. Depends what you're into at the perfect time.
Do you like the big ones?
You know what I mean?
Most cookery classes would tell you it doesn't matter. That's
Depends what I
they
can
say.
fit in. It's all. I've got very small hands, Tommy.
Okay. Listen, there you go.
I have a spare pair of gloves you can roll during the break, Muireann. But you can just see I've popped them onto the baking tray just like that. 190, 375, gas mark 5. About 20 minutes is what you'll be cooking those for, regardless.
Your hands
Now,
for those.
that's the meatballs. I'm going to roll the rest of those in a few minutes' time. Meanwhile, I'm going to make a lovely dressing or lovely sauce to go on the top of those. So again, I've got some of my whole milk natural yogurt from Irish Yogurts. And then what I'm going to do is pop all of that in. I'm going to add in some tomato ketchup in there as well.
Tomato?
Tomato,
Nice,
yeah,
yes.
absolutely. Pop a little bit of that in. And then I'm going to add in a bit of lime juice in there as well. Right. So again, you can see that my is nice and juicy. I gave it a little roll. I know you're familiar from the mojitos. Just give it a little roll, just like so.
I did lime
and that
yesterday.
works really nicely.
It was hard, so exactly. Give them a good squash.
Roll, okay? Or Mary Berry used to stick the lemons into the microwave for like 10 or 20 seconds.
Oh, right.
And that just kind of helps you. Because limes, in particular, are quite firm, so it helps you just to really pull out the juice. And you saw mine is nice and juicy.
That's clever. Okay, into the microwave.
Little drop of Tabasco sauce going in there as well. okay, and give that a nice little mix around. So it's just a little take on the kind of the Mary Rose, you know, the normal Mary Rose that you might have on like a little prawn cocktail.
Lovely.
Okay, and that works really nicely. So then what I'm going to do is I'm serving these today with a couscous, but you might decide, think of having them like in a lovely pita bread. You know, put some salad leaves, put some of your lovely Mary Rose dressing, squash in some of your meatballs, or you could have flattened them out so that they're more like a kind of a kofta or a kind of a flatter burger and squash those in to a pita bread. Let me just give you a wee little look at those.
Yum.
As I said, 190 in the oven there for about 20 minutes. Again, of course, it does depend. If you've gone a little bit larger, you might need to go a little bit longer.
Maybe the smaller bowl, not as distracting.
And you'll have a quicker supper.
There we go. Isn't that what it's all about?
Again, of course, reminding everybody that minced products do need to be cooked right through to the centre because from a food safety point of view.
So you better kind of chopping one open to just check.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Just check one. Now, a little bit of our lovely couscous there. And what I've done, I've just made it in advance, but the most perfect thing to remember with couscous, 1 part couscous, 2 part boiling liquid. So if I've used 200 grams of couscous, 400 millilitres then of boiling water, and you'll get the perfect couscous. A little bit of my lovely yoghurt dressing. And again, of course, that just enhances it really beautifully. And you see that lovely soft salmon colour that's on it as well. I'm going to put a little bit of fresh coriander, and then, of course, because it's very fancy at the minute, and again gives you that lovely sense. Look at how that lovely ruby red colour just gives you the sense of resplendence in the dish. A little bit of lime. And
Resplendence.
there you have it.
My
That's what you need.
Short of pouring out the Chablis for you, I can do no more. So that's just a really nice little feast.
Is the couscous cold? Is it kind of like room temperature?
I've taken it out of the fridge. The couscous is cold.
Yeah.
So again, what you should have is
summery.
you should have the coolness of the couscous. You've got the lovely nice hot, as in hot from the oven, but also spicy lamb meatballs, and then the lovely cooling element of the yoghurt dressing.
Let's go full carry on. Edward,
Yummer.
your balls are delicious.
Oh.